Welcome to the pink side. Her mom found me dressed. Now she's taking me shopping. The first thing I noticed when I opened my eyes was the soft morning light spilling across Emma's bedroom floor, reflecting off the delicate pastel walls she had chosen herself. The room smelled faintly of lavender and freshly laundered clothes, a scent that was both calming and teasingly familiar. I had been hiding this side of myself for months, my fascination with dressing up, experimenting with clothes, makeup, and high heels, and yet, for some reason, being here in Emma's personal space felt safer, more thrilling than ever. I'm Alex, 24, an office assistant by day, a secret fashion explorer by night. On most days, my life was simple and methodical. I woke up, dressed in standard business attire, navigated the routine of emails, meetings, and cubicles, and returned to my tiny apartment, where I could finally explore the softer, more delicate side of myself. But living a double life was a constant dance, balancing normalcy with the urge to express the part of me that craved lace, silk, and makeup. Emma, my girlfriend of almost 2 years, had been my anchor and my secret co-conspirator in ways I could never fully articulate. She was magnetic, confident, stylish, and fiercely independent, and she somehow understood the nuances of my curiosity, even if I hadn't fully shared everything with her. That understanding had drawn me closer to her, and at the same time, made me acutely aware of my vulnerabilities. My secret world was fragile, and being discovered meant risking judgment, teasing, or worse, losing her trust. That morning started like any other, with me standing hesitantly in front of Emma's wardrobe, picking out a soft pink blouse that shimmered under the sunlight, paired with a flowing skirt that whispered against my thighs. My fingers lingered over the fabric, marveling at the texture, the way it felt almost alive against my skin. I slipped into the clothes carefully, adjusting the hem, smoothing wrinkles that didn't exist, and then turned to the small vanity mirror in the corner. My reflection startled me. The man I saw in the mirror was gone, or perhaps he had never really been me. Instead, a delicate, almost ethereal version of myself looked back, lips faintly glossed, eyes lined with subtle shadow, hair tucked under a soft wig that Emma had lent me weeks ago. I could hardly believe how transformative a few layers of fabric, makeup, and a wig could be. A shiver ran down my spine, equal parts excitement and fear. And then it happened. The sound that made my heart nearly stop, the familiar creak of the apartment door, footsteps on the stairs. Emma's mother, Marissa, had come over unexpectedly. I froze, caught mid-gesture, skirt slightly askew, blouse button just a bit too high, the wig slightly out of place. Her eyes landed on me, and for a long, terrifying moment, no words were exchanged. I expected shock, anger, judgment, anything but what came next. Marissa's gaze softened, a mix of amusement and curiosity dancing in her eyes. "Well, this is a surprise," she said, tilting her head slightly. The words sounded light-hearted, almost playful, but my stomach churned. My secret, the side of myself I had nurtured in solitude, had been unveiled. And yet, there was no ridicule, no mockery, just a subtle, knowing spark. Emma appeared behind me, startled but quickly recovering. "Mom, this isn't what it looks like," she started, but Marissa held up a hand, cutting her off. "I think I understand more than you realize," she said, a hint of mischief in her voice. "And I think we might need to do a little shopping." My jaw dropped. My mind raced. Shopping? With Marissa? In my current outfit? The mere thought made my knees weak and my pulse spike. My reflection in the mirror seemed to grin at me, teasingly alive, aware of the roller coaster of emotions coursing through me, fear, excitement, embarrassment, and an unspoken thrill that someone, somehow, had caught the beauty of my transformation and didn't recoil. Shopping? I stammered, my voice quivering slightly, betraying the nervous excitement I felt. "Yes," Marissa replied, stepping closer with a confidence that was almost overpowering. "You've got potential, Alex. But we need to explore it properly. And I'm going to make sure you look perfect." Emma exchanged a glance with me, a mix of apprehension and encouragement. I felt the warmth of her hand on my shoulder, a silent reassurance. Despite my racing heart, despite the vulnerability of exposure, a thrill coursed through me that I couldn't deny. My secret side wasn't just seen, it was embraced, guided, and about to be tested in ways I had never imagined. The next few moments passed in a blur. Marissa took my hand gently, guiding me toward the door, whispering hints of what awaited: boutiques, delicate fabrics, accessories, and perhaps a transformation even deeper than the one I had explored in the privacy of Emma's apartment. My reflection lingered in the mirror as I stepped away, a final glance at the delicate woman I had become, feeling both terrified and exhilarated at the path that lay ahead. As we stepped out into the sunlight, I realized the boundaries of my secret life were expanding. No longer confined to the safe shadows of night or the privacy of my own apartment, my exploration of femininity would now be public, scrutinized, and yet thrillingly liberating. With Marissa leading the way and Emma quietly supporting, I felt a surge of anticipation. The adventure had begun, and I had no idea just how far it would take me. The streets were bustling as Marissa led me out of the apartment and into her car. My heart was racing, not just from nerves, but from the intoxicating thrill of being seen in my feminine attire. I tugged lightly at the hem of my skirt, making sure everything was in place. My reflection in the rearview mirror caught my eye, delicate lips slightly parted, cheeks flushed, eyes wide with excitement and fear. "You'll be fine, Alex," Marissa said, a calm, knowing smile on her face. "I've seen your potential. Today, we'll take it to the next level." Next level? My stomach churned. I had experimented in private for months, but now my secret was out in the open, with Marissa, Emma's mother, as my guide. Every sensation was amplified: the soft fabric of my blouse, the way the skirt swished against my thighs, the uncomfortable yet thrilling pinch of the heels that made every step deliberate and measured. I felt exposed, vulnerable, and yet alive in a way I had never experienced. The first boutique was small but elegant, filled with racks of flowing dresses, delicate lingerie, and sparkling accessories. Marissa guided me through the aisles, her hands occasionally brushing mine as she pointed out pieces. "This one," she said, holding a soft, sky-blue dress against me. "It would suit you perfectly. The fabric will highlight your shoulders, and the cut will make your waist look delicate." I hesitated, my fingers grazing the silky material. The thought of trying it on made my pulse spike. I don't know if I started, but she cut me off with a gentle laugh. "Nonsense. Trust me, you're going to love it." The changing room felt like a small universe unto itself, a private stage where I could explore every nuance of femininity. I stepped out in the blue dress, the mirror reflecting a version of myself I barely recognized. Soft, graceful, undeniably beautiful. My chest tightened, a mix of pride and vulnerability flooding through me. Marissa's eyes sparkled. "See? You're incredible. But there's more to discover." As we moved through boutique after boutique, Marissa introduced me to heels that clicked assertively against the floors, accessories that sparkled in the light, and makeup that subtly accentuated my delicate features. Each new item was a test, a challenge to embrace the transformation fully. With every step, I felt my anxiety mix with exhilaration. I noticed the internal struggle rising. Part of me thrilled at the attention and the beauty I was experiencing, while another part quivered with fear. What would people think if they saw me like this? Was I overstepping boundaries? Could I handle this exposure? My hands trembled slightly as I adjusted a necklace, my reflection confirming the duality of my emotions. Marissa seemed to sense my inner conflict. "It's okay to feel nervous," she said softly. "But you've been hiding this for too long. Today is about embracing it, fully and without shame." The hours passed in a blur of fabrics, mirrors, and whispered guidance. Each outfit brought a new wave of emotion: joy, vulnerability, excitement, and fear intertwined in a complex dance. I learned how to move in heels, how to carry myself with confidence, and how to use small gestures, tilting my head, adjusting my hair to convey subtle elegance. Every reflection in the mirrors of the stores showed me a different facet of the person I could be. Lunch was a quiet, tension-filled affair at a cafe where Marissa continued her mentorship. I sat with my legs crossed, heels digging lightly into the floor, skirt swishing with every movement. The waiter gave a polite glance, but my anxiety twisted every gaze into imagined scrutiny. Marissa, ever perceptive, leaned in. "Relax, Alex. You're doing beautifully. Remember, confidence is as important as beauty." Her words resonated, and I took a deep breath. The sunlight catching on the delicate silver earrings she had insisted I try on reflected in my eyes. For a brief moment, I felt fully alive, fully myself, and yet still teetering on the edge of exposure. Every nerve screamed both caution and exhilaration. As the day progressed, we visited one final boutique, a luxurious, high-end store with long mirrors and polished floors. Marissa encouraged me to try a stunning black cocktail dress. The moment I stepped into it, I gasped. The fit was perfect, hugging my curves, the fabric soft against my skin, the hem swishing with every step. My reflection stared back with wide, astonished eyes, a version of me I had only dreamed of. Marissa's hand rested lightly on my shoulder. "You're ready," she said, voice low and encouraging. "Now, let's see how the world responds to this side of you." The realization hit me like a wave. Today wasn't just about shopping or transformation. It was about courage, visibility, and acceptance. Each step I took, every glance in the mirror, was a step toward embracing my identity, even as fear and excitement warred within me. I felt vulnerable, exhilarated, and deeply alive. And then, as we exited the boutique, a sudden thought struck me. What if Emma's friends, or someone we knew, saw me like this? My pulse quickened. The thrill of transformation clashed with the terror of exposure. Marissa seemed to read my mind and laughed softly. "Don't worry," she said. "We'll take it slow. You'll learn to navigate both worlds, Alex. But remember, the most important thing is how you feel about yourself." Her words lingered as we stepped into the sunlight, the city alive around us. My reflection, momentarily caught in the shop window, showed a confident, delicate figure walking beside Emma's mother, a transformation not just of clothes, but of spirit. I felt my fears and excitements entwined, knowing that the real test of my courage was only beginning. The day had barely begun, and already I felt the dizzying mix of exhilaration and dread coursing through me. Marissa had insisted that our adventure wasn't just about shopping. It was about me confronting the world as the feminine version of myself. Every step outside the apartment felt like stepping onto a stage, the city streets a theater where I was both the audience and the performer. Marissa guided me to the first boutique, a quiet yet sophisticated shop filled with delicate fabrics and sparkling accessories. My heels clicked against the polished floors, and I could feel the weight of eyes, real or imagined, following my every movement. My reflection in the mirror showed a figure that was almost foreign to me, soft curves accentuated by the fitted blouse and skirt, makeup highlighting features I had only ever admired in secret. "Relax," Marissa said, her hand lightly brushing mine. "Every woman has a way of carrying herself. You just need to find yours." I swallowed hard, aware of the tension in my chest. I had never thought of myself as a performer, yet today, every movement mattered. Choosing outfits became an exercise in vulnerability. Each dress, each accessory, each brush of makeup was a test. How comfortable could I be in this new skin? How much of myself could I reveal without fear? The next boutique was larger, brighter, filled with high-end designer pieces. Marissa encouraged me to try on a vibrant red dress. The moment I stepped out in front of the mirror, my breath caught. The cut of the dress emphasized my waist, the fabric hugged my hips perfectly, and the neckline drew attention to my delicate collarbones. For a brief moment, I forgot about fear. I felt beautiful, but beauty came with a price. I was acutely aware of the shoes, the way my legs felt exposed, the delicate balance required to move gracefully. Every mirror reflected not just my appearance, but my vulnerability. My heart raced, alternating between pride and anxiety. Marissa was patient, guiding me with gentle encouragement. "You're learning, Alex. Confidence comes from practice, from owning who you are, no matter what the world thinks." We spent hours exploring shops, trying on outfits, adjusting makeup, and experimenting with accessories. Each experience pushed me further out of my comfort zone. A pair of strappy heels made my calves ache, but the sensation of heightened posture and elegance was intoxicating. A silk scarf wrapped around my neck felt like a shield, a small piece of armor in a world that might not accept me. Lunch was a tense, quiet affair. Sitting at a cafe with Marissa, I felt every gaze of patrons magnified. The skirt swished lightly with each movement, the heels making each step deliberate. I imagined every possible judgment, every whisper, and my palms grew sweaty. Yet beneath the fear, excitement bubbled. This was new, thrilling, and undeniably liberating. After lunch, Marissa insisted on a walk through a more crowded part of town. The challenge escalated. Pedestrians brushed past, some glancing at me curiously, others simply ignoring us. My reflection caught in every window, a delicate figure moving gracefully through a bustling city, exposed yet unafraid. My pulse raced. Every step was a negotiation between vulnerability and boldness. At one point, a passerby, an elderly woman with a warm smile, paused and complimented my dress. "You look lovely, dear," she said kindly. My cheeks flushed crimson, a mixture of embarrassment and pride. Marissa squeezed my hand. "See? Appreciation exists, even outside our private worlds." The afternoon continued with more challenges, balancing in heels across cobblestone streets, navigating crowded shops, and enduring curious glances. Each step was a test of poise and identity. My internal struggle intensified, fear of judgment versus the intoxicating thrill of acceptance. Every reflection, every compliment, every stumble reminded me that this was more than clothing. It was a full immersion into a version of myself I had long suppressed. As we prepared to leave the final boutique, Marissa handed me a small compact mirror. "Take a look," she said softly. I lifted it to my face and stared. For the first time, I didn't see just Alex, the man I had always been. I saw someone delicate, confident, beautiful, and alive. The realization hit me. This transformation wasn't just physical, it was emotional, psychological, and profoundly liberating. Yet beneath the exhilaration lingered a pulse of fear. The world was still out there, unpredictable and judgmental. I had embraced my new self in the privacy of shops and quiet streets, but exposure to the public eye, co-workers, friends, strangers, was still a looming challenge. My hands trembled slightly as I adjusted my scarf, heels clicking against the pavement with a mixture of pride and anxiety. Marissa smiled knowingly. "The real test is coming, Alex. But you've done beautifully so far. Remember, confidence is your ally. Embrace it fully, and the world will respond in kind." I nodded, heart racing, anticipation mingling with fear. The next steps, public exposure, encounters with familiar faces, and the ultimate confrontation with identity, loomed ahead. Today was just the beginning. The thrill, the vulnerability, and the suspense of embracing my feminine self had only just begun. By late afternoon, the city streets had become a stage, and I was caught in the spotlight. Every step in my heels clicked against the pavement, echoing in rhythm with my racing heartbeat. The black cocktail dress swayed gently with each movement, a silent testament to the persona I was now fully inhabiting. Yet beneath the elegance, a storm of anxiety brewed. Marissa guided me toward a bustling cafe, insisting on a pause before the final stretch of our outing. "We need a moment to ground ourselves," she said, her voice calm yet commanding. I perched on the edge of a plush chair, heels crossed neatly, makeup intact, and tried to steady my trembling hands. It was impossible. The city seemed alive with scrutiny. I caught sight of reflections in every window, each a reminder of the dual life I was leading. Alex, the man I had always been, faded behind the curves, the lashes, the delicate jewelry. And yet, every compliment, every curious glance, pulled me further into this feminine identity. Then it happened. A familiar voice rang out, cutting through the ambient chatter. Alex. I froze, the cafe around me blurring. My coworker Mark stood at the entrance, tie slightly loosened, coffee in hand. His eyes widened, disbelief written across his face. My stomach nodded. My mind screamed to retreat, to hide, to melt into the background. But Marissa's hand on my arm anchored me. Go on, she whispered. Own it. I rose slowly, heels clicking against the polished floor. Hi, Mark, I said, my voice soft, higher, yet undeniably me. Mark's gaze flickered between Marissa and me, uncertainty etched in every line of his face. I didn't expect to see you like this, he stammered. The thrill of exposure and the terror of judgment collided violently. My pulse thundered. I could feel every eye in the cafe on us, every heartbeat magnified. But instead of retreating, I straightened, lifted my chin, and met his gaze. Yes, I said, feeling the power in the affirmation. This is me. Mark blinked, unsure whether to speak or flee. Wow, he murmured. You look amazing. Relief washed over me, quickly replaced by another wave of anxiety. Every compliment, every validation was fleeting. The city, the cafe, the reflections, they were all temporary. The real challenge, sustaining this identity in public under scrutiny, was just beginning. We stepped outside, the afternoon sun glaring down. Crowds swirled around us. Emma's friends emerged unexpectedly from a crosswalk, curiosity immediately locking onto me. My heart skipped. Exposure wasn't hypothetical anymore. It was imminent. I could feel my cheeks burning, the delicate balance of heels and composure trembling under pressure. Marissa stayed close, her presence both protective and empowering. Remember, she murmured, you've prepared for this. Confidence is your armor. We navigated the busy streets, every passerby a potential observer of my secret. Every reflection in the shop windows reflected not just my appearance, but the vulnerability I carried. And yet, the thrill of walking boldly, of existing unapologetically as this new persona, surged within me. Then came the unexpected obstacle, a photographer. His camera caught sight of me, lens clicking repeatedly. Panic surged. This wasn't a friendly glance. This was documentation, permanent and public. My pulse spiked. Marissa stepped between us, shielding me. You won't get anything without consent, she said firmly, voice cutting through the tension. The moment was electric. Fear, exhilaration, and defiance collided. I looked at Emma, who had appeared quietly beside us. Her hand found mine, intertwining fingers, grounding me. We'll handle this together, she said. The exposure, the potential judgment, the thrill of the feminine identity I had embraced, all converged in that instant. Every reflection, every stare, every shutter click became a symbolic test. Could I own this new self under the gaze of the world, with nothing to hide? I took a deep breath, the city's hum fading into the background. The black cocktail dress swayed, heels asserting my presence, makeup flawless under the afternoon sun. I was Alex, transformed, exposed, and alive. The photographer lingered, curiosity turning to suspicion. Emma's supportive hand squeezed mine. Marissa whispered softly, "One more step. Show the world who you are without fear." With each heartbeat, I felt the exhilarating mix of vulnerability and liberation. Exposure wasn't the end, it was the ultimate test. And I was ready. The sun was beginning its descent, casting a warm, golden glow across the bustling streets. My heels clicked rhythmically against the pavement as I walked beside Marissa and Emma, each step a mixture of pride, exhilaration, and lingering fear. The city around me seemed alive with eyes, curious, judgmental, or simply oblivious, but I felt them all. I had never been so visible, so undeniably present, and yet, never so uncertain of the future. We paused outside a boutique, and I caught my reflection in the glass, once more. The image staring back at me was a beautiful woman, someone confident, elegant, and alive, but beneath that poised exterior, my heart raced with tension. Every compliment, every glance, every whispered admiration from strangers was temporary. What would happen when I returned home? How would friends, coworkers, and the people who knew Alex, the man behind the dress, react when they saw this new version of me? Emma squeezed my hand gently, grounding me. "You are incredible today," she whispered, her eyes warm with admiration. "I'm proud of you." Her words should have comforted me, and in part, they did. Yet a gnawing fear remained, growing stronger with each passing second. We had navigated the city, faced the unpredictable gaze of strangers, and endured moments of public exposure. But life outside this brief adventure could be far less forgiving. As we turned to leave, the sound of a camera shutter echoed from the corner of the street. My pulse quickened. The photographer from earlier had not left. He was crouched near a lamppost, lens trained on me once again. Panic surged. Images of my most vulnerable moments captured, potentially shared, archived, beyond my control. Marissa stepped closer, placing herself between the lens and me. "Not today," she said firmly. But the damage, I realized, might already be done. I glanced at Emma, searching for reassurance, and found her expression unreadable. A mixture of concern and curiosity danced across her features. "Do you think he'll publish those?" I whispered, my voice trembling. Emma shook her head slightly, but I couldn't shake the unease. The possibility of exposure loomed large, and with it, the weight of my dual identity pressed heavily on my chest. We hurried down a quieter street, but the sense of being watched didn't fade. Every reflection, every passerby, every casual glance felt amplified. I was hyper-aware of my heels, the sway of my dress, the soft brush of my hair. The city was a mirror, reflecting both who I had become and the uncertainty that lay ahead. Arriving at a small park, Marissa and Emma urged me to sit on a bench, to catch my breath and reflect. I did, hands clasped tightly, heart still pounding. For a moment, the world felt suspended, and I could almost forget the scrutiny, the judgment, the potential consequences. Almost. Then came the unexpected sound, a soft ringtone, muffled but insistent, coming from inside my purse. I froze, recognizing the number immediately. It was my boss. My stomach dropped. Every scenario I had imagined spun wildly out of control. Could I answer without revealing the secret? Would the conversation betray the new identity I had embraced so fully today? Marissa leaned closer. "Alex, whatever happens, you'll handle it. Just breathe." I hesitated, hand hovering over the phone. The screen illuminated my trembling fingers, and I realized that the moment of reckoning was not in the streets, nor in the reflection of windows, but in the private world that awaited me, a world that might never accept the beautiful woman I had become. Emma's hand found mine again, grounding me. "No matter what," she said softly, "we face it together." I nodded, swallowing hard, as my fingers finally pressed the screen to answer. The ringtone continued, a reminder that the thrill, the fear, and the suspense were far from over. Outside, the city moved on, indifferent to the secrets it had glimpsed, while inside, my life teetered on the edge of revelation. The bench beneath me seemed both a refuge and a precipice. I had faced public exposure, walked boldly in the heels and dress that defined this new self, and survived the judgments and glances of strangers. But the private consequences, the people I loved, the world I navigated daily, loomed larger than ever. As I took a deep breath and prepared to answer, I caught my reflection once more in the glass of a nearby shop. The woman staring back was beautiful, poised, and alive, yet the eyes behind her held fear, uncertainty, and anticipation. And in that instant I knew nothing would ever be the same. The call connected, and everything hung in the balance.